Jai Sri Ram friends. Today we are going to discuss about a Hindu girl who is not there with us no more. Okay, by name Lavanya, and her fault, she was a Hindu. And second big fault, she studied in the missionary school. Okay, and the missionary school that is located in Tanjavur, a city in Tamil Nadu in Bharat, when she was forced to convert, when and her parents and the girl had refused to convert, that's a issue there, and the amount of torture she has to go through as per her dying statement is unbelievable. Okay, and what is interesting in this is I'm just going to put forth some facts, and then we are going to go through what other people are talking. And second thing you are going to see is how the similar pattern has been adopted around the world, and especially we are going to go through Canada, okay, where the First Nations were put to torture. Okay, you will see the similar pattern because this girl, as per her statement, she has to clean toilets not only in her hostel, okay, 8th grade going girl, and also in they used to take her to different schools also, and there also she has to clean the toilet and those kind of things. They used to break her back. But anyway, I'm not going to go through. And you know what, very astonishing, her father, you may think that if somebody is in politics, okay, you may be in politics, and you may be thinking that if somebody is in politics, you are fine, you are being taken care. And this proves that's not right always, okay, because Lavanya's father was a card holding member of DMK, okay, which is the ruling party of Tamil Nadu, okay, ruling party of Tamil Nadu led by sitting CM Stalin, but nobody spoke anything about it because he was a card holding member of DMK. But it doesn't matter because they didn't want to offend their minority vote bank. Okay, now let's go through the Twitter trends and also go through how the similar tactics and tricks were used in Canada. Okay, and you will find a pattern. Let's move on. This one, we are going through the Justice for Lavanya Twitter hashtag. Be careful while promoting people of different origin, different explore, whether they are spiritual, working humanity. Okay, this is about how, how discriminatory Teresa was. Okay, the Hindu girl, merely 17, had to take her own life because she was forced to convert. Please ask for justice for Lavanya. Okay, you see that here. And Justice for Lavanya is turning out to be another Jallikattu move, not only the Tamil Nadu but across India. The momentum should be sustained. May Lavanya be tipping point of the setting motion of nationwide anti-conversion law. So many, these things, you are seeing people justifying from the church. It's time for strong anti-conversion law, says Gaurav. Justice for Lavanya. And you see here, this person says, this user says, Rahul Gandhi or INC India doing nothing, not even a statement of condolence. Okay, forget about it. Justice for Lavanya. You know what? They are not going to do it because if she is from a different community, then that is different part of the story. You would have seen Hangama. Abhishek writes, the brave child Lavanya would have submitted herself, but she resisted the conversion because she loved, she loved Dharma. It is also Swadharma that to raise the voice to provide justice for Lavanya. That divide, you see so many things here. Forced conversion, 12th standard girl, I think she is 8th standard or something, but 12th standard girl ends life after the. This is Kushbu Mishra who writes, Lavanya, the students student of Scared Heart School, Tanjavur, committed this thing, due to the continuous torture by the school after she declined to convert. And here you see, the school asked my parents in my presence if they can convert me to Christianity. They would have helped her for furthering studies. Since I didn't accept, they kept troubling me. The statement of the girl just before dying. Okay, and some of all the liberando medias are just quiet. You see so many justice for Lavanya. It wasn't a suicide but a murder. It's trending everywhere. And it's unbelievable how the liberando media and the liberandos are, the so-called the women activists are silenced. Okay, and this girl Lavanya scored 489 out of 500 in SSLC, that is the 10th grade. A Christian school in Tamil Nadu converted this bright Hindu school. She died refusing, where the DMK politicians left media and women group and Tamil movie stars are there right now. Okay, you know what, I just want to say you, her father was a card holding member of, or is a card holding member of DMK. It doesn't matter. Okay, when you don't belong to them, okay, that community, your life doesn't matter. That's what it proves, no matter who you are. Okay, you see here different people posting it. But now let's see, stop religious conversion. This is a beautiful picture here, Lavanya holding Shivji, and for forced conversion against that, and Kushbu Sundar, who is giving she top one of the superstars of her time, and now part of BJP, is giving a statement on police accountability and how the police is trying to cover up the case on behalf of the government. According to, this is another one fake media on the left. Class 12 student in Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu, died by suicide on 19 January as she was allegedly under pressure to convert to Christianity, BJP state unit alleges. Okay. According to Quint, the BJP, which is alleging that there is a conversion angle, the dying declaration of the child doesn't count on anything. Justice for Lavanya. Now let's go to Canada, okay, and see about how the First Nations have to go through what they have gone through. Okay, and see here, Canada, 751 unmarked graves found on the residential school. BBC estimated 6,000 child died attending the schools marked as the grave at one point of time. The Roman Catholic Church. Okay, we will be going into the article and seeing, but I just want to show you why Canada is mourning the death of hundreds of children. The reason we do this is so that there is a pattern. You may be a parent who is seeing this video. Now you have a question. Sometimes it is just a propaganda there that if you put your child in a Christian missionary school, they study well. Is that is really true? What the children go through, the torture, do they even say you? Do you even sit with them and talk to them? Do you know what is really happening? See here. Okay, children ended up in pauper graves. Saint Ewan was operated by the Catholic Church from 1912 until 1970s. Okay, remains of more than 1,000 indigenous children were found. Okay, indigenous children have been discovered in Canada on the grounds of former state funded by the boarding school run by the Catholic Church. Horrible history, mass grave, indigenous children. Camp Lewis, one of the largest residential school in Canada with over 500 pupils at the peak, was operated by Catholic Church. And they say 1,000 graves, but you believe me, it is like unbelievable. You cannot even imagine. Kids' graves expose the horror of Canadian residential school. Okay, and all these schools were operated by Catholic churches. Okay, unmarked graves of the Indian children Canadian province reveals probing claims of abuse. Unmarked graves of indigenous children at or near the sites of Catholic Church run residential schools across Canada. Okay, so you see a lot of them. Children you will find by the name hundreds of graves and in the indigenous graves and the unmarked graves. Okay, so now we are here in BBC. Okay, BBC website in US and Canada. You see here, Canada 751 unmarked graves found at the residential school. An indigenous nation in Canada says it has found 751 unmarked graves at the site, former residential school in Saskatchewan. And you see here the covetousness of the First Nations were discovered and most significantly substantial to date in Canada. It comes weeks after 215 were found in similar residential school in British Columbia. This is the mass grave site. These are unmarked. Okay? Now we are going to go through it faster, but you get an idea. An estimated 6,000 children died attending these schools, according to the former Truth and Reconciliation Commission Chair Maurice Sinclair. Students were often housed in poorly built, poorly heated, and unsanitary facilities. It was one of the more than 130 compulsory boarding schools funded by the Canadian government, run by the religious authorities during the 19th and 20th century. Okay, so why Canada is mourning for 250 children? Truth about the Canadian cultural genocide. That's what is happening in Bharat, folks, today. If you see how the Lavanya case, if you are a parent looking at it, and if you are still sending your child for whatever excuse you give to the missionary school, I don't know, you don't love your children, I believe, because for you, your prestige, where your child is going with the higher fees is more important than the child itself. In a statement, President Justin Trudeau said he was terribly saddened by the discovery in Saskatchewan. He said it is shameful reminder of the systematic racism, discrimination and injustice for the indigenous people that has faced, but nobody knows that his dad was a prime minister in those times, and he was personally involved in these kind of residential schools also, the record says. Between 1863 and 1888, more than 150,000 indigenous children were taken from the families and placed in these schools throughout Canada. The children were often not allowed to speak in their own language or to practice their culture, and many were mistreated and abused. They made us to believe we didn't have souls, the former residential soul student Florence at a press conference on Tuesday. They were putting us down as people. So we learned to not to like who we were. The Canadian government formally apologized for the system. The Roman Catholic Church, which was responsible for operation of up to 70% of the residential school, has not issued formal apology yet. It is not, nothing is going, thousands and thousands of children died there of the indigenous people just because they followed a different way of living, different practice of worshipping. You will be, it's unbelievable how come their apology is going to matter much, but they didn't even do an apology after finding thousands of graves, folks. You think you are fighting for justice for Lavanya, and you are expecting the missionary schools to come on their knees and say sorry. This is a reminder for you. The May discovery of 215 children remains found sites of a formal residential school in Kamloops has thrown a spotlight on Canada's past policies of forced assimilation. Indigenous leaders expect similar findings of searches of the grave site. The kids were taken away. The kids were dragged out of the homes, and they were put inside the residential school, and they were forced to follow the Christian way of living. And when they refused to do it, or if they were caught not doing it, because there's many of these kids. If you go through the video here, you can see this. Canadian PM demands Pope to apologize. Canadians are just doing whatever to the churches. You will see this video. You can search for it in our Bharat Marg channel, and you will find it. It goes in detail about what happened in the residential school. And when you go through the First Nations genocide, in general, when you go through, you find it from different countries, different across Europe, everywhere you go, you find Africa. Everywhere you go, you find the same story again and again. Okay, how they were put into the schools, and either they had to fall in line, or they were given a hardcore punishment like what they have given to Lavanya. They were broken to give up the life. This person says here, I don't want to show the video with the torture of how it is happening. The nun rubbed my face with my own urine when he was caught, practicing the worship of his own God. See, First Nations and Hindus have more in common. They are Agni Pujak and like us, and nature worshippers like us. When they were caught doing those things, and the main thing is when they were getting connected to the ancestors, and anything that is differential from what the Abrahamic religion was talking, immediately they were put into punishments like these. Can you believe what this girl must have gone through? The remains of more than 1,000 indigenous children found in former residential school in Canada, and when you go in detail, you will see each one of them were run by the Catholic churches. You see here, the schools were operated by the Christian churches. These schools forcibly separated the indigenous children from their families and isolated from their communities and culture, according to the Indian Foundation, the website for First Nations and Studies. During that time, more than 150,000 indigenous children in Canada from the First Nations attended the schools. Indian County today reported that until 1951, all indigenous children at the age of 7 to 15 were required by the law to attend the residential school. When you go through this video, you'll know that many of the children just escaped from the schools with the torture. In fact, one of the girl who came with the orange dress from the home, to disconnect from the home, the nun threw the orange dress out. So Canada celebrates Orange Dress Day, in memory of the First Nation child who lost her entire childhood because of the dress. You find a very commonality, and says, what do you think about justice for Lavanya? Do you think this is an isolated event, or many of our history has been hidden in Goa, Calcutta kind of places? And what do you think? Still, after this event, if you are a parent, will you send your child to the Christian missionary school for whatever reason? Or you think enough is enough, and forced conversion that happens on the so-called on the pretext of education will not be taken no more? What do you say? Comment, and also if share it with as many people, because many of them may think it is a very isolated event. I just want to say there is a big commonality around the world, and this is not an isolated event, and our heart goes for the child Lavanya, but this is one of the hundreds of thousands of cases from these kind of schools. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful time, and make sure your child go to study in the right place. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.